Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us for today's episode of Canal Days. As always, I'm your host Carrie, along with my co-host, founder of Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Camus. Our Canal Days series delves into the vast collection of historical sites throughout Massachusetts with Robert's expertise of the local history as our personal guide. Each episode, we uncover history throughout local communities with historic houses, meaningful monuments, preeminent pivotal pioneers, and remarkable remaining remnants, all while uncovering their seminal significance. Today's episode of Canal Days will be canvassing the Kesser Israel Synagogue of Springfield, Massachusetts. And with that, we'll be expanding our knowledge base on where it's located, its history, design, and about a particular rabbi's gravesite. So, can you briefly identify the background of the Kesser Israel congregation?
It started in Springfield as one of the Hebrew congregations. In fact, it started in the north end of Springfield in 1900, so very early on. And they started in only a tiny little storefront, but they moved into a mansion in 1909, and they got more room for themselves, but of course it didn't look like a synagogue. And that mansion is a Jobson mansion at 329 Chestnut Street. Alright, and then they stayed there for a very long time. And it wasn't until much later, 1966, that they would actually take over the congregation Kodemus Synagogue. And that was in the Forest Park neighborhood. So it started at a very different location, and then finally took over someone else's synagogue. So that's the early history of it.
And can you detail the synagogue belonging to the Kesser Israel?
Okay, so the one that it took over, it's a very large synagogue. And remember, they took it over in 1966, but who was there early on? Well, Congregation Kodemus was there from 1923 when they made it. And this was an early congregation, but not as old as Kesser Israel. And it's still there, and it's a street with also a school, a post office, library, and the synagogue on it. So it has a lot on it in that neighborhood.
And stick around and we'll be right back after a quick announcement. Are you fascinated by local history and eager to investigate the obscure treasures off the beaten path throughout the state of Massachusetts? Or maybe just seeking an unforgettable cultural activity for family and friends to enjoy? Look no further than Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, founded by Robert Camus. With over a decade of experience, Robert offers captivating tours and presentations of historic sites and landmarks throughout the state. Whether you're interested in canals, cemeteries, charming churches, or more, Robert's tours provide a unique and enriching experience for all. And that's not it. You can also schedule private tours tailored to your interests, ensuring a personalized adventure and unforgettable memories. Perfect for families or groups of all sizes, making for an exciting, hands-on learning experience that brings history to life. Simply visit hoyokecanaltour.org or email bobcat4214D@yahoo.com to book your private tour today. But wait, there's more. Don't miss out on Robert's podcast and video series, Canal Days, where you can dive even deeper into the vital history of the Connecticut River Valley. Plus, for those who may not be local or would rather enjoy on the go, from the comfort of their home, Canal Days brings the adventure right to your screen. So don't miss out. Uncover the pivotal past with Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke to make your own history with memories that will last a lifetime. Remember to log on to hoyokecanaltour.org for more information and secure your personalized experience today. Welcome back to our Canal Days episode of the Kesser Israel Synagogue. And can you characterize the Kesser Israel's cemetery?
Sure. It's on Wilbraham Road near Delmar Street. And it looks like a typical Jewish cemetery. The stones are very close together to each other. Only once in a while would a husband and wife team share a stone, and that forces them to get fairly close together. And it's with two other Hebrew cemeteries along its side. And that's very typical of Jewish cemeteries, that they will bunch up together. And they like to keep them by the congregation. So one congregation really, most times, does not share with another. And so thus, if Springfield has 8 congregations, then it'll have 8 cemeteries, which it does. All right. So it started up in 1909, and the congregation itself started in 1900. So where are the early burials? Probably in another one of the Hebrew cemeteries, either in Springfield or in West Springfield itself. And this cemetery has a nice look to it. It's in the lawn style, and the cemetery has a mini grass strip through the middle of it once you go through the entrance gates, and they face one another. So you can tell that a lot of the cemetery style was in high gear when this was made. And there's one special one there.
And can you summarize and outline the gravesite of Rabbi Solomon Pessin?
He is in a mausoleum, an above-ground burial. And the mausoleum is, the body of it is made with tan or lighter brick, and then with reddish brick along the 2 sides. Has little dentils in a roof line, and then the roof itself seems to be made out of some kind of red shale or slate. And it's gabled, too. And then it has what looks like it should be a front door, and that front door and steps are the location of the gravestone embedded into the mausoleum house. And it's all made for the Rabbi Solomon Pessin. And then it has a lot of script, and of course you read from right to left and from top to bottom. And it gives you a lot of information about him. And he's the only mausoleum in the cemetery, so you know that he's very important. Well, Solomon Elijah Pessin, if you go to his grave, find the grave site. He was born in 1876 in Minsk of Belarus. He died in 1919 in Springfield, Massachusetts. And he was the rabbi for this location. He died of appendicitis, which is sad, and he died fairly young. If you notice, he's 43 years old. And they have his picture on Find a Grave, which is wonderful. And I believe they're trying to translate it. For instance, his birth and death were given on the stone, and where he died, where he was born. But they also have a prayer, tears of crying were shed from all eyes on the sun that set in midday. All hearts will pour like water, how in his young age he passed away. Our master, teacher, rabbi, the great light. And so it's a very nicely done inscription on here. And so it's a very unique cemetery and a very nice Kesser Israel synagogue.
And thank you for listening to Canal Days and our episode on the Kesser Israel Synagogue in Springfield, Massachusetts, and joining us on our. We hope you enjoyed uncovering some of the hidden and overlooked marvels and their fascinating stories that shaped our past in the state of Massachusetts. A special thanks to Robert Comu, founder of the Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, for sharing his passion and expertise with us. Remember, you can find more information about Robert's tours, book private tours, and explore the Canal Days video and podcast series at holyokecanaltour.org. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please like, comment, and share. We'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions for future episodes. Don't forget to keep exploring and discovering the history that is hidden in plain sight all around us. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to tune into our next episode of Canal Days and log into holyokecanaltour.org. Until next time.